What's going on, guys? It's Devin with Team Unknown Racing coming at you guys with another video. I know I've been away from you guys for a little bit. We've been backed up with some racing here past week or two, some big races, and getting ready for the upcoming RC Pro Series here. Actually, this August 31st, which is this Saturday, it's going to kick off the first round of RC Pro Series. So we've been a little busy racing. That is why we haven't gotten any videos out. And I just want to start out and give a huge shout out and appreciation for everybody that has come forward, messaged me directly, messaged the team page, commented on here on YouTube, let me know that they really appreciate the videos, which I didn't know if anyone did. I was just doing this out of boredom, and there's not a lot of oval stuff out there, so I figured I'd start doing a little oval series, and it, to my surprise, has kicked off really well. But there's a couple things that I want to go into today. It's not tech related, no setup tips, so if that's what you hear, your next video is coming here in a couple days. What I want to go over today is the current state of oval racing. Is it dead? Is it dying? Are we seeing the demise of it? I've been seeing a lot of stuff on social medias here the past month or two about the decline in car counts for oval racing, and why there's not a lot of people out here. What's going on? And there's a lot of stuff we're going to go into that I've been seeing on social media. So we're going to get into that. And if you guys look down below and if you see a GoFundMe link, that what we're trying to do with that is we're just trying to get a little bit better audio equipment since there's so much interest in the tech tips. We're just trying to get a little better audio and recording setup so we can bring you guys better, higher quality videos. Because hell, right now I'm recording on an iPhone and I'm using a gaming headset. Sorry, that was loud. I was setting it down. I'm using a gaming headset microphone to do all my audio on because external audio sucks on the iPhone. So, that's what that's all about. It's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the current state of RC racing. There's a post on one of the social medias not too long ago, and there was a poll on what's going on with the car count and why is it starting to decline. Number one, right now, it's typical in no matter what RC racing you do, whether it's on-road, off-road, oval, drag racing, boat racing. It is August, in case you guys have not just seen, and if you guys haven't seen, we're setting record temperatures. This past 3 weeks, it's been over 105 degrees down here in Texas. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be out in that crap. I have to be because I do the track prep at our local track here and help run that. So I'm out in that heat all day Saturday. I'm out there Friday prepping the track. I don't want to be in 100 degree, 105, 110 degree temperature. The average people that are racing, club racing, just to come out and have fun with their buddies, they don't want to go out in 110 degree weather. I can damn sure guarantee you that. So that is right now. We see that every summer. I'm not saying that people get freaked out about it, but it happens every summer. It's too hot to be outside all day long. I know we do as much as we can to help with that. We do. I'm sorry, somebody's sending me a notification. See, another reason we need to get off this Facebook or this iPhone. We see that every year, so I don't want to say oval's dying because of that. No matter what racing you do, you're going to see drop-offs from July and August, and then it picks back up mid-September, which I was just looking at the weather. Mid-September is going to be like 85 degrees here in Texas. It's going to be perfect. But there is another thing that has come to my attention that I do agree with what I've seen on the social medias and people asking why why it's dying. Where's oval class going? That's simply because no one gives two rats rear ends about spec classes anymore. Everybody wants to race the high horsepower, the open classes, and I'm to blame. If you look behind me right there, the two white cars are brand new build cars. I tested them this past weekend. That's the only time they've seen the track. The top car on the shelf. Sorry, I'm looking at the camera behind me. The top car is my Midwest mod that I ran all season up till this past weekend that you've seen in other videos. I've used that car to do the videos. Car below that is a new Bodies by Ed Switchblade Midwest mod. And the late model below that is the brand new AFX Fabrication BTB chassis late model that just came out. And this is part of what is going on with RC racing. As you can see behind me, those are the three cars that I race. Those are the only three oval cars that I own. I've got a couple other torn apart that are parts cars. This is where the problem is. Those two white cars, within what it took me about a month to build them each. I did them all. I did them together, so not 2 months. 1 month about is what it took me to build them. Those two white cars, there's $1,500 to $1,600 per car in that. So you gotta think we'll go $1,500 on the two white cars each. That's $3,000. The wrapped top car up top, the number 17, my Midwest mod that I ran all season, I've probably got $1,800 into that. So we're looking at almost $5,000 for three cars. Not everybody has that kind of money. Hell, you can buy a real race car, a big car, for $5,000 and go out and be somewhat competitive at your local track. So I am very much to blame for this as well. I don't race support classes. I don't race your spec classes, and I'll get into why I don't here in a few minutes. But people starting out, they don't have $1,500 to build a car. They simply, some people do, the people that have more money than brains, that just want to build the baddest, fastest thing as soon as you can get in, as soon as you start oval racing with no experience. You're going to see that, and they don't last long. I can promise you that. But what it is there's no support classes. No tracks are promoting. Yeah, every class has, okay, if you bring a stock slash, sure, put them together, street stock, but there's no promoting it. They're only promoting the big classes. They're only doing big class races. Your open short course mods, your open late models, your open Midwest mods. And Midwest mod for a while, for a handful of years, was a fun spec class. It was a 10.5 motored blinky ESC, meaning your ESC had to be in blinky mode. And it was a spec class. And this past year, well, we're open motored. We're open ESC. There's 5 different tracks here in Texas. Every track runs a different rule set. That's another reason that we're seeing a decline in oval racing on the dirt. But there's no support classes for your beginners that want to come in and try oval racing. One of my favorite spec classes that I love seeing on the track it's called Mud Boss. It is a stock out of the box Traxxas / 2-wheel drive short course truck. Now there's different regions of the country that run different rule sets but for the most part it's pretty much the same. You can't change your shock towers, you can't change your shocks, you can't have adjustable shocks on it. Everybody has to have their shocks mounted in the same spot. A lot of them is you have to run the high center of gravity chassis, which is the stock chassis, and not the LCG. Whereas if you go up to the Pennsylvania area, the Northeast, they have a couple different classes of Mud Boss, which the stock box stock is considered their small block, whereas then you go into your big block modified, which is real popular in the big cars up in the Pennsylvania area, big block modifieds up in Pennsylvania and New York. Um, so the rules open up a little bit there. Still non-adjustable shocks, but you have more adjustability. You have more motor choices, and then throughout the different regions, people have kind of adapted. I know up in the Indiana, the Midwest area where late models are real popular, they basically just take that Mud Boss rules and slap a late model on it, because late model body on it, because a lot of the RC dirt tracks, they run what's and popular in their area, big car wise. Whereas that's why you see I have two Midwest mods up there. Modifieds is Texas is modified country. I'm not a fan of modifieds. I come from Indiana. I think they look goofy. They're not. They don't look like a car. But I love racing, so I'm going to race what we race. I love all kinds of racing. That's just not what I grew up around. I grew up in Indiana with USAC sprint cars and late models. So that's another thing, is there's no support on those. They're not advertising the Mud Boss classes. And another thing that I'm starting to see is street stocks. Street stocks was a very popular choice among new drivers, where you took a non-adjustable buggy chassis, non-conversion. All those cars up there are custom built. Not a buggy chassis. They're buggy based, but they're not buggy chassis. A street stock is a true, say your Associated B6 buggy, how it would come in a kit to put together to go buggy racing off road. Non-adjustable arms. A lot of it's 17.5 motors, 13.5 motors, Blinky ESCs. And for a while, if you were a sponsored driver or if you had experience, you couldn't drive in street stocks, because it allowed the beginners to come in and drive that class. Whereas now, you're starting to see, because of what we just mentioned up here, with the money involved, you're starting to see a lot of these experienced drivers come into street stocks, and now they're starting to throw fits that they want to be able to adjust these cars. Now, that ain't what a street stock is. And when you have high-profile drivers starting bitching at tracks about them wanting to run a class a certain way, the tracks are going to bend to those drivers, because they need they don't want they're a bad name out there. These high profile drivers are very capable, and I have seen it, very capable of trashing a track to the point, or bashing tracks online to the point that track has closed within 3 weeks of the said initiation of the bashing online. So the tracks are bending to these higher profile drivers to get what they want, whereas screw those high profile drivers. If they don't like it, they can go run somewhere else. They're a high profile driver, they're a sponsored driver, they have the capabilities to go to other tracks that will race what they want to race. And they're ruining the hobbyist aspect of this hobby. I know this video is getting a little long and I'm rambling, but this is just something I strongly feel on, so that's why I'm going into it a little in depth. The higher profile drivers are starting to ruin tracks that I've seen, and the high profile drivers in my area, I'm not naming names, for the most part are really helpful. They stick with their one track. They'll venture off. They race their club races up at their local track, and it's pretty respectful down here in Texas. But what I've been seeing through across the country is what I'm talking about. So the guys here in Texas that know me, I'm not talking about you, I promise. So that's pretty much what's been going on with the social media aspect of RC racing. Another thing that social media is killing RC racing, I believe, because there's so much bashing going on online, that you just can't get away from the negativity. There's people that are just completely bashing tracks because I don't know why. So and this is going to go into conclusion. I kind of went into how I feel about what's going on right now. We need more support of the local tracks, and we need we need to promote that to the beginner drivers, the new people that are trying to experience oval racing or even on-road racing. You know, there's a lot of spec class racing going on in on-road racing and off-road racing, and it's a very huge success. We need to start doing that in on the oval side. Is start promoting the spec classes, bring back spec classes, because when spec classes was reigning for a while without the interference of what we just discussed, dirt oval was popping. I mean, your Chili Bowl would get 350 entries. Your Winter Freeze would get 450 entries. Uh, the King of the Dirt races would get 300 entries. The Midwest Showdowns would get all your big nationals would get 300 to 400 entries, and a lot of them were the spec class races. Whereas I just looked at a couple of the upcoming races, the big nationals, I didn't see a whole heck of a lot of spec classes in there. It's all the open because that's what the high profile drivers are wanting to do. So I don't feel oval is dying. I really don't. I think we need to regroup ourselves and as a community come back and bring back the spec class racing and show more support to the beginner drivers. And that's why I started this YouTube channel, is to get, you know, information out to the new drivers to try and help them out understand the cars, help them out understand what's going on during a race. Because whereas off-road racing, you set up your car one way, both sides symmetrically, and it's going to stay that way the entire race. Whereas dirt oval, you don't set it up symmetrically. Each just corner is different. The corner weights are completely different from your left to your right to your front to your cross, from your left rear to your right front. It's all completely different, and you're adjusting your car throughout the night. So, and that's where a lot of people that are trying to come in from the off-road to the oval, they're getting confused. They don't understand what's going on with that, but they have the passion for the RC hobby as a whole, so they were wanting to try oval. So that's where this whole YouTube channel's come from. I know, I apologize. I kind of rambled on for 18 minutes. This was just my feeling on and how I feel about the current state of RC racing and what I felt needed addressed. I know there's a lot of people that could give two shits about my opinion, and that's fine. I could give two shits less about their opinion too, but I just I wanted to get on here and discuss how I felt about what I've been seeing on social media and what I think needs to be done and can be done to bring back and start growing this hobby that we have even bigger and better next time. And it's very simple. Like I said, we need to bring in the support classes of the beginners, your mud bosses, your street stocks, and stop overrunning that with high profile drivers trying to get it their way just because they want it. And another thing is that I've been seeing that they're doing this because they can't compete in the in the higher levels with all the other drivers. So they want to go where they can beat up on people, beat up on new people, and feel good because they got a podium against somebody that's been racing RCs for 3 weeks. That's bullshit, in my opinion. If you need to feel that way, you don't belong in this hobby. And that's another part of what's going on right now. So I don't think our RC oval racing is dying. It's far from dying. And we see this every 5 years. Tracks get at each other's throats. There's a lot of competition with tracks. Kind of has gone on here in Texas the past year or so. We need to get away from that. We need to work together. We need to promote big races. All the tracks need to work together. If you're in California, get your tracks together. Get a weekly series between the 3 or 4 tracks together. You know, one race, one weekend you're at this track, and next weekend you're at another track, and do a point series. Do something to get people enthused about it. There's no enthusiasm anymore. It's just club racing. There's no points. There's no awards. There's nothing to go out and race for. And competitors want something to race for. So work with your local tracks. Work all together. Bring in some series. Get some points races going. Give your racers something to race for, and you will see a huge spurt in growth at your track if you give them something to race for. I put on a huge race last month. We're in control. Still a new track, so we're still trying to build our population. We get 5 to 10 cars in each class. Street stock is really huge out there, but I put on a huge race last month, and we had over 100 cars out there. So give them something to race for, and people will come race. Don't just race for the hell of it. Take their money and say, "Well, thanks for coming out." Give them some, give back to them, and you'll see a huge inspurt or growth in your car counts each week. So I'm looking at the timer right now. That's why I'm looking away. We're at 20 minutes. I'm going to cut it here. If you guys have any more thoughts, opinions, comment, and I'll respond to them. I'm sorry this took so long. I was just rambling on about how I feel about what I've been seeing online. So with that, I'm going to hop off here. The guys that have been looking for tech tips, that's coming in a couple days. We'll get into that. So, anyways, stay classy, stay fast, and we will see you guys next time. Hopefully, we'll see y'all at a track sometime soon. Catch y'all later.